By now, it's likely that construction of our mine shaft has wrapped up, which is going to give us access to all of those different Z levels that have good concentrations of useful resources on it. What we're going to want to do next is mine some of those mineral resources, get those raw ores and rocks on hand so that we can refine them in our ore refinery into elemental metals and other things that are more useful in manufacturing processes. So we'll go back down through our Z levels, and the first things we're going to want to get our hands on are going to be ores that can be refined into metals and ores that can be refined into metalloids, as those are two essential classes of materials that we're going to need for building. If we look here at Z level 38, there's an extremely rich concentration of cobaltite, and this is going to yield for us cobalt and nickel. And the way that we can find that out is if we click on this View Encyclopedia button over here, it's going to bring up an in-game encyclopedia that provides information on all sorts of topics. If you want to see information on items, like what subcomponents an all-weather hut is comprised of, you can see that there. Diseases, plant species, cultures, there's all kind of information, but in this case we'll focus on materials. From this material type filter, we'll scroll down and pick out rock, since we just want to see rocks. These are where ores are located as well. And then over here in the material type filter, we'll pick out cobaltite. This will give us all kind of information about the material, its density, the failure point for the material, like when it will either combust or melt. But what we're most interested in are the materials that are yielded from refining it. So when you take cobaltite and you refine it in an ore refinery, you'll get some volume of cobalt and nickel. These are both two very useful metals for manufacturing. We'll click OK there. We know that we want to get our hands on some of this, so we'll click on the Issue Mining/Dig Order tool, and then without selecting any of the meta orders, just with this button here selected, we'll go ahead and click and drag on the tiles that we want to have mined out. When we unpause, we'll see that one of our colonists will go ahead and grab a shovel and head down to start mining that. You'll notice these guys are all working here. They're probably maintaining the heavy machinery. Machinery needs to be maintained once a day, or else it will degrade in quality. One thing we'll also want to do, just to make sure our guys work on those orders before they harvest plants, those orders are automatically being created because the plants are reaching maturity, is we'll go ahead and give this a higher order priority of 5 and set it for all our mining orders, making sure that somebody gets on the case for that. Another Z level that we'll want to conduct mining on is if we go down to level 19, this is where we have our quartz-bearing rock, and we're going to be able to refine this into silicon. Again, if you're curious about what you can get out of a given material, click on the Encyclopedia dialog. You can find it over here in this filter list. We'll pick out quartz-bearing rock, and we'll see that the materials that are yielded from refining this are silicon, germanium, copper, and boron. So we'll get a whole bunch of useful materials, including the metalloids that we're going to need. So we'll go ahead and select some tiles around the mine shaft here, just like we did on level 38. We'll go ahead and raise the order priority on our mining orders on Z level 19. Again, we'll click, we'll multi-select. You can hold down Shift and left click to select a whole bunch of these at a time and set the order priority on that. We'll set it to 6 just to make sure that they get going on that. But you'll see that our miners make their way down here as space is cleared out, and as they mine individual tiles, you'll see that sometimes the locations will yield items that are left behind. And if we use the inspection tool on one of these items, we can see that what we have here is a unit of cobaltite. If we click on the View Item Details button, we can see further information. The stack size corresponds to how many volumetric units are present. So this is 40,000 units of cobaltite that are available for retrieval. As mining is successfully completed and the tiles are cleared out, transport orders will automatically be created to move these rock yields to a stockpile. So if we click on our orders dialog here, we'll see that as the mining is completed, these transport orders are to transport quartz-bearing stone from the location where it is to a stockpile that is suitable for holding it. Up here on the surface, you can see that we've got orders that have already been created to start harvesting some of our crops that have reached maturity. So we're doing pretty good here, and we're starting to accrue a whole bunch of raw materials. We can go ahead and check on our colony supplies dialog and see that we've got a bunch more stuff to work with. if we go ahead and view the historic data, we can see as resources are accumulated, everything that we've got, and this is very useful for keeping track of what materials you have over time, how your material reserves fluctuate. As you manufacture, you'll consume materials, and as you engage in activities like mining and crop growing, your volumes of available raw materials will increase. So at this point, we've successfully mined. We'll go back here and check again, and you can see now that the yields have been transported to stockpiles. We've got 200,000 units of cobaltite. We've got 40,000 units of quartz-bearing rock. So we'll go ahead and just issue a whole bunch of more mining orders to keep everybody busy. We'll want to get a bunch of raw materials so that we can have plenty of what we need to manufacture. And then I'll go ahead back into the orders dialog, elevate the priority of all of our mining orders. We'll put these at 1.5, and that will get everyone working on what we want to work on. So that's all there is to it for mining, and now we're well positioned to start refining those ores into useful raw materials in the next step.